Hello everybody, this is Llodg, and this is Star Wars Republic Commando. Republic Commando originally released on March 1st, 2005 for the original Xbox and Microsoft Windows. However, it has gotten a re-release on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. I am playing on the Xbox version via backwards compatibility with the Xbox Series X. As far as I know, there were no significant changes to the games with these re-releases, but if you want to make sure you're playing the game as it was originally intended, then the Xbox and Steam releases are your best bet. But again, I'm sure the PS4 and Switch versions are practically the same. And Republic Commando was developed by LucasArts. Republic Commando takes place during the Clone Wars with you playing as the leader of Delta Squad, which is a team of clone commandos. These were clones that were specifically made to be an elite group of soldiers that are tasked with the most dangerous missions that regular clones wouldn't be able to complete. Delta Squad is composed of Delta 38, U, Delta 62, Scorch, Delta 40, Fixer, and finally Delta 07, Sev. Unlike the movies and shows, all of the squad mates have their own voice actors. This allows for them all to feel more different from each other than if they all have the same voice actor. And I know in the 2008 Clone Wars show, they had all the clones be the same voice actor, but since Delta 38 is voiced by Tamora Morrison, the actor who voices the clones, Jango and Boba Fett in the movies and live action shows, I have a feeling it would have been hard to differentiate the squad if they were all voiced by him. But I am glad that he's in here voice acting Delta 38. I know he also voiced the Battlefront 2 cutscenes, but I wouldn't have expected him to be in so many games. Now, there isn't a huge overarching story in Republic Commando. Each level in this game is actually a separate mission that Delta Squad needs to complete. You start off seeing Delta 38 and the rest of Delta Squad literally grow up and learn how to be clone commandos on Commando before launching into their very first mission, the Battle of Geonosis. Yep, this game actually has you start off in the clones' very first appearance in the movies, the Battle of Geonosis, as seen in Attack of the Clones. And since we play as clone commandos, we have our own special mission that we need to complete. While on Geonosis with all the other clones fighting the Separatists, we get our squad together and have to
find Sun Fac and eliminate him.
After dropping on the Geonosis, we finally get to play the game, and you have the DC-7M interchangeable weapon system, which as you play the first section of the Geonosis level, you'll be able to swap between your standard blaster, a sniper rifle, and an anti-armor grenade launcher. And I have to say, I love the animations for when you're able to swap between them. They all have their own separate ammo, so when you run out, you can just swap between them. And if you run out of all their ammo, you'll also have a DC-15S sidearm blaster, which has a cooldown like the weapons in DICE's Battlefront 2, so you'll at least have something, even if the weapon isn't very good. Each level will also have their own weapons that you'll be able to find and pick up. You can find an accelerator charged particle array gun, a bowcaster, and even a Wookiee guided rocket launcher, among others. You can even find an elegant weapon for a more civilized age. Too bad you can't pick it up.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized time, huh? Well, guess what? Times have changed.
You can only carry one of these weapons at a time, and they have limited ammo, but since most of them will be dropped from enemies, you shouldn't have too much of an issue finding some sort of ammo. But I did find a couple places throughout the game where I was super low on ammo and had to have my squad mates do most of the work. You can also find 4 different grenade types to use: thermal detonators, EC detonators, sonic detonators, and flashbang grenades. I enjoyed using the thermal and EC detonator since the first one does the most damage, and the second one actually EMPs droids or shocks other enemy types. I'm not even sure if the flashbang actually affects droids or not. And this game actually has a mechanic that has appeared in another retrospective video I've done, that being the squad mate order system, where you can tell your squad mates exactly what they should do. This system was also used in Halo 5, however, unlike that game, this game actually rewards players for ordering your squad mates to do certain actions, as it makes them more effective against enemies. You can order them to simply take a sniper's position, get into a cannon, deactivate a droid dispenser, or even open a door. You're also able to do many of these actions yourself, other than being at these specific positions where your squad mates will use those specific weapons, since you're able to use those weapons whenever you want. But unless you're terrible at fighting enemies, I think it's better to give these simple jobs to the squad, since you're just holding down a button for a while, but I would recommend you at least try some of the cool turrets that you can find. Sometimes your squad mates are able to make their own decisions, like if they are hurt they will go on their own to get some Bacta. You know, the thing that Luke got in episode 5 after fighting the Wampa. Yeah, those are your healing stations. There is no other way to heal your squad mates unless you go down, so remember where these are, as they will be very helpful. Thankfully, you can always walk back to the last Bacta tank and heal up just to be safe. Whenever you're able to use one safely, just have the entire squad take a break and heal up. If you or your squad mates do go down, you're able to revive each other. When you do get revived, you also get a lot of your health back, so you should be able to fight a bit longer before going down again. You can also take as long as you want to revive them since they won't ever go down for good. Unless every one of them is down, then it's a game over and you're back to the last checkpoint.
3-8. Come in 3-8. I think Delta Squad has been eliminated.
Technically there are only 3 full missions in the game, but they are all split up into several different objectives, but since they all feel like one long mission, I'll just have them be 3 different missions. And those missions are Geonosis, the Ghost Ship, and Kashyyyk. These missions have loading screens at various points in the level, and I think some of them are for when you go to a new objective and it'll have a little animation at the start of the squad rappelling down to the new area, but there are also loading sections in so many places that I have to wonder if this game was made on hardware today, we wouldn't have had these loading sections. This isn't really an issue since loading on Series X was very fast, but I thought I'd bring it up since the loading sections are very visible when playing. Each of these 3 missions also have a few sentences to give you a few more details about how the Clone Wars are going, but they don't matter too much if you know the basic premise of the Clone Wars since there isn't a huge overarching story in this game, just some missions that kind of tie into each other, but I do like that they try to give them some more lore and details about this time period since we only had the 2003 show at this point. Also, it tells us that there are time skips of a year between each mission, which feels kind of weird, but gives even more credence that this game doesn't have one big overarching plot. I've already talked about the Geonosis level, so now I'll give a brief overview of the other 2 levels. The level after Geonosis is the Ghost Ship, where Delta Squad has to investigate a Republic ship that has lost communication, and we learn it's been overrun by Trandoshans. Also has my least favorite enemies in the game, these flying things that shoot electricity at you. They take down your health so fast. At least you can punch them off. Also, this level has you using your night vision visor to see in dark areas. It's not the best, but I'm not sure if it's just me, but I always never like night vision visors in games, and this is one of them. Like, I can see alright, but I'm always so thankful when I get to a brighter area. After using a walker to defend the hangar and helping destroy a droid control ship, Delta Squad is shipped out to Kashyyyk.
Welcome to Kashyyyk.
Wait, what did he say?
Kashyyyk.
Why do they pronounce Kashyyyk like Kashyyyk? I know in KOTOR 1 they use this mispronunciation, but that game was released in 2003, 2 years before Revenge of the Sith came out, and was developed by BioWare. Republic Commando was developed by LucasArts, you know, the development team closest to Lucasfilm. They should have known what the correct pronunciation would be, and maybe you're thinking, well, Kashyyyk was in the books even back to Heir to the Empire in 1991. Who knows what sound 3 Ys in a row would make? Well then why does Battlefront 1, which released a year earlier, have the correct pronunciation? And to make matters even worse, Battlefront 1 even has a trailer within the game for Republic Commando, so they definitely had the ability to put the correct pronunciation within this game. Anyway, while in Kashyyyk, Delta Squad is there to free Wookiees from Trandoshans. And hey, you even get to free Tarful. Tarful is even canon, making an appearance in Jedi Fallen Order. And he's apparently in Revenge of the Sith? Well, it's really nice to have him here, especially because he actually destroys anything in his path. In fact, most of the Wookiees fight back once they're freed. Sadly, they are all lucky. As we are fighting through on Kashyyyk, we even hear about General Grievous being on the planet. However, his ship gets away before we can face him. We do get to fight his Magna Guards though. Eventually, we all have to use turbo lasers to destroy a Separatist ship from the ground. Thankfully, with us weakening the hull, a Republic strafing run is able to destroy the ship.
Delta Squad, regroup at 3-8's position for exfil.
Boss, I've got a problem here.
Civ, where are you?
On multiple hostiles.
Lost his signal, boss.
We'll find it again, damn it. Squad, regroup. We're going after Civ.
Yep, since we were all split up, Sev was able to be outnumbered and captured. We weren't able to go after him because the Republic and Jedi have decided to mount a full-scale invasion of Kashyyyk to make sure it doesn't fall under Separatist control. And our reconnaissance and mission allowed for this all to happen. With the full invasion underway, Delta Squad needs to go back into action, and that's where the game ends. Yep, it ends on a cliffhanger, just like that. And before you ask, no, we haven't gotten any follow-up game that shows what happened to Sev. However, we have gotten some books about the Republic Commandos by Karen Travis. I haven't read any of these books, but from their descriptions it seems to be about Omega Squad and not Delta Squad, so they aren't a direct continuation of the games or anything as far as I can tell. If you've read any of the books, I'd love to know if they're worth reading. They are Legends books, so they aren't canon just like this game, but that's not an issue for me personally. But yeah, that's the whole story. Once again, it's not an overarching story, it's just a few missions that Delta Squad goes on. While I don't mind the almost non-existent story, I would have preferred a story similar to Halo's, where it's one mission that might take place on several planets, but eventually ramps up to something. Other than the squad and a couple others, there aren't any actual characters we meet, but you're playing through secret missions that only the best commandos can do, so I don't expect any cool characters to show up that we don't have to defeat. I do like how the levels took us to multiple locations, and all those locations were able to feel fairly different from one another. I think it helps that the enemies drop specific weapons, and on each planet you're able to find a weapon that's unique to that area. Like on Kashyyyk, you can find a wiki-guide rocket launcher and blow up a bridge with it. The same can be kind of said with enemies, however by mission 3 you'll be able to get all 3 different enemy types within that same mission, so it's not like you won't see an enemy faction after a mission or anything. This is also the first game I've seen have Trandoshans as an enemy faction, and I like that they're included in this game. Also, you may have noticed that the regular battle droids are all grey instead of their usual tan brown color, and as far as I can tell this grey battle droid isn't a specific type of droid that's different from the ones in the movies, they are just painted a different color like how they are red on Geonosis and Attack of the Clones. But since this is a fairly short game, it wouldn't make sense to have 3 separate versions of the same enemy class for each mission. Also, this game really allows the droid army to be a menacing army, especially with units like
Super battle droid.
being some of the most difficult enemies in the game. I mean, they are so strong, there's a reason they have super at the start of their name. Droidekas are also formidable enemies, but at least those guys have shields. Super battle droids are just born strong. The Separatist army really should have used droid dispensers more. These things can be so difficult to destroy, especially when there's a lot of them in one area, and they just keep spinning out super battle droids and droidekas. You really have to come ready to throw some EMP grenades to stop the droids in their tracks, while one of the squad mates takes their time deactivating the dispenser. You even get to fight spider droids. Overall, the whole game can be pretty difficult, from there being so many different enemies to fight with a limited amount of ammo, to parts where you're alone from your squad. Now once you're able to actually get your full squad, they don't separate too much. Off the top of my head, I can only remember it happening once in the second mission on the ship, and in the final moments of the last mission. However, it really makes you miss your squad mates because of how much harder the game becomes. Unlike other games with similar mechanics, Republic Commando really utilizes the other squad members to the point where you just feel so much weaker without them, and I think that's great. You should feel considerably weaker without them. The whole game basically consists of you walking and shooting enemies, but something about these added mechanics being able to direct your squad mates to do certain actions makes the whole game feel so fun. Honestly, I just really loved moving from room to room, slowly but surely clearing it out. It really makes me wish we had more levels in this game, though I'm also kind of content with the amount of levels we do have because I'm sure this gameplay could get very repetitive if it went on for a much longer time. Also, there were so many moments that I just love of the squad being up against a wall trying to fight enemies. It really felt like we're in the Clone Wars and this could be a losing battle, but of course the Clone Commandos are able to push through and win the day. I talked about the battle droid design earlier, but I just really love the overall art style and designs for this game. It all feels pretty gritty and just what a 2005 Star Wars game about the Clone Wars should look like. I love the Commandos' armors so much. All 4 of them having different accent colors makes them unique enough to tell them apart, but similar enough to know that they are all clone commandos. The game is also always in first person, and since there are no real cutscenes outside of the opening, there is never a real need for it to be in third person. But I really like the choice, especially in the opening, because it feels like we are Delta 3-8 growing up. And it lends itself well to one of my favorite mechanics in this game, and that's the visor actually clearing itself. Like when there's rain, the little line will go and clear itself. And even when you melee droids with your Singhili-like vibroblade, it wipes off the oil from your visor, really making you feel like you are in the moment. The music and sound design of this game are also what you should come to expect in early 2000 Star Wars games. Lots of music from the movies, especially the prequels, and a lot of sound effects that would not sound out of place within the movies. I already said it before, but I really like the cast at Delta Squad, and that they are all different voice actors so that they are easily distinguishable. There's also one really good original track for this game, and it's Voda On. This track is really cool because 1, it sounds cool, and 2, because the title is actually in Mandoa, the Mandalorian language, and means brothers all. This song is actually sung in Mandoa as well, so it's likely diegetic and exists within the Star Wars universe. I should also mention that there is a multiplayer aspect to this game, where you can even customize your player character. It can even be a Trandoshan, but I didn't play any of it since I'm sure the servers were taken down years ago, and I have no friends to play it with. but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. And yeah, it's been almost 20 years since this game released, and we have no sequel in sight at all. I'm pretty sure all the new Star Wars games are canon within the current Star Wars lore, so as unlikely as it is if we did get a new game, then this game would become canon as well. But yeah, other than these Karen Travis books, we really don't have any other Clone Commando stuff, and especially none to look forward to. There were some Clone Commandos in the Bad Batch, and I haven't seen Season 3 yet, so maybe they are cool in there and we'll get a game based off of them. Nothing bad will happen to them within that show, right? Let me know what you think of Republic Commando and how it holds up, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day, and goodbye!